During the adjudication week of the 2022 National Teaching Awards, we had teachers from various provinces talk about topical issues affecting the sector. Alarmingly high incidences of violence in schools, often perpetrated by male learners, have been reported recently. Two young male teachers had a candid discussion on this phenomenon and what role, if any, male teachers can play in curbing the scourge of violent behavior.
Last year during the pandemic, that's when a lot of people started to experience cases of GBV, and then it also have a negative impact on our learners.
On the kids, yes.
On our learners. So what I do with my learners, because there are other community projects that I'm busy with. Yes, so I have this pageant which is Mr. Central South Africa. So the pageant itself, it seeks to combat GBV, whereby they want someone who has moral values, to instill values such as taking care of yourself. Obviously, if you take care of yourself, you would know how to take care of someone else. Respecting yourself, you can respect the other person. Loving yourself, it's those values as well. So now we also have engagements whereby we have the Haribuwe campaign when we gather as men in one place, and then we address issues such as GBV, and through such initiative they allow me to bring my boy child to such engagements. So I believe our boy child, they need to be taught values. Actually, we need to instill values in them. You understand? Yes.
Do you think it's that? Because I am having questions as you're talking.
Yeah.
Do you think it's that they don't know these values, or that their implementation thereof? Because for me, it's like because of the societal norms that a boy child isn't necessarily allowed to cry out.
Yes.
Right? True. Then that leads to them taking out their frustrations in
other people.
on someone they think is less masculine and a bit more vulnerable.
True.
Because I don't think the idea that they come from homes without fathers contributes that greatly. Well, it does, but in a lot of the times, I think because I grew up with a single parent, that's really allowed for me to respect my mom and to look at her and think, well, she's a hero because she was able to do everything for us in spite of us not having a dad, right? But I think it's mostly fueled by the idea that you can't speak out as a man, and the next thing that you can use, which we have seen is muscles. If I can get someone that's less muscular, and you also see it in bullying, because a lot of these boys who grow up to become abusive started at school as bullies, where they are bullying a boy child who seems less masculine or who they think is vulnerable and would do whatever it is that they want. So what I have been able to do, this started as a question, sorry about that. But what I have been able to do is I involve stakeholders.
True.
Because we recently, if anything, had a case where about 30 boys sexually harassed another learner, right? So you can imagine how crazy that is. So, and then with the continuing violent incidences, I then started a boys to men kind of campaign as well to say, and let's talk about how we can move you from being, so to speak, childish and not trying to use your common sense and your thinking to deal with issues and resorting to using physique, right, to get things the way you want them to be. So we have those like meetings where we talk about our frustrations and we talk about the ramifications, if anything, of what they're doing. Because I think the other thing is that men are not fully aware of what it does to a woman when you abuse them, the impact, because it sticks forever.
True.
Right? So we talk about that, and the Department of Social Development's been a part of these projects, and SAPS, because we also have a school assigned police officer. Right? So I have been able to include those in these campaigns. And then And then I think for the most part it's that we're not allowed to raise our frustrations. But what is most interesting also is the role that we have to play as educators. Because one of the things that I think we sometimes do badly is treating boy kids differently from the girls. Right? We're not allowing for that equality stance to pop out a lot, and that tends to really put boys in a position where they feel like, well, I'm not being recognized, I'm seen as some kind of an animal, because if I do something wrong, I'm going to get beaten up. But if Lerato or so and so does something wrong, it's that, I'm going to talk to her. You know, I don't know, but
you also posed a question: if are they aware of these values?
Yes. Yes.
I would like to believe that they are aware, but they are not aware of the impact that it has in terms of the victim. You know, because also in my school we had a case whereby 2 boys, they locked 2 girls in a room, in a classroom for like 3 hours because they wanted to have sexual intercourse with them. You understand? So, you know, having to see those girls cry, that's when they started to realize it was wrong to do something like that. You understand? For them, it was like, we were just playing. You understand? I think it starts with just a thought, but you don't know what you are doing, how the perpetrator might feel about it. You understand? Yes. So I think we might know these values, but if they are not instilled, you understand? I don't want us to say we teach values. I'd rather say we instill, because if something is instilled, there is no way that no one can take it away from you. You understand? You would know how to approach certain things. And you saying that we don't treat men equally, and then also speaking of masculinity, I think it's high time we scrap out stereotypes. You know,
true.
Very stereotypes also, they do contribute.
And the society
plays a major role, because back in the days, girls, if you would hit your woman, then that would show that you are man enough. You understand? As a man, you can't go in the kitchen and assist with food or whatever. So exactly. It's those kind of things, because I remember. I was assisting in the kitchen in terms of food, and I was dishing out for the learners. And then one boy was like, "Here, why are you doing this?" I'm like, "I'm assisting." No, it's a woman thing. You understand? So, like
gender roles.
It's gender roles. You know, because we need to instill those things, those values, and also create an awareness of constructive stereotype and also deconstructive stereotype. I don't know if that's the correct term to use, but I believe also they do play a role, because and then also what we say as men, you understand, what do we say in small gatherings?
But you know, really crazy, because we've had a lot of campaigns with the growing number of people who are saying we need to empower women. We've also had a growing number of men who are saying, no, but I want to remain traditional. I want to remain masculine, you know. And I think that's the, lefty side that's really also swaying things in the way that we would not appreciate, especially as humanity moving forward. Because if you look at it, like, we've had quite a number of cases with girls who were murdered by their boyfriends, either at the eve of their graduations or right after graduating in South Africa. Just this year alone, I think I heard about 3 cases. And when I sat down and started analyzing that, I realized that we need to be empowering our boys as well to go and get their education, to go and be able to provide for themselves, right? Because it seems as though they get threatened if they're a woman, right? Yes. And then because of that, they think, well, the minute she graduates, she's probably going to leave me, she's probably going to think I'm worthless, and then they would brutalize those women. So it's I don't know, we really need to strike a balance between how much we're empowering the girls and then how we're empowering the boys, right? And we need to have our boys being in a position where they know that opening up a door for someone is an act of humanity and of kindness and of integrity and compassion and love and like all of those things. And we really need to get them to a place where they appreciate those things. We need to get them to a place where they appreciate metrosexuality, right?
Yeah.
The need, like you said, to take care of yourself. I mean, if your learners look at you like this, they need to wish to want to look like you and know what looking like this comes with. To say it takes a lot of wanting to take care of me and someone else and the environment in which I live to be like this. And if you want to be like me, these are my values, right? And I don't know, models of excellence, I think.
Actually, how do I put it? They don't know the difference between gender and sexuality. They don't know the
sexual
difference.
orientation and gender.
Exactly. Because I remember this other time I was teaching in class, and then we were talking about discontinuous variation where it
also, you teach life sciences?
I teach life
What?
sciences.
Yes.
I
teach life sciences.
Wow. You understand?
Yeah.
And then gender is an example of discontinuous variation.
Yes.
And then
it's male and female.
Male and female,
Yeah.
just like that. So one learner was like, but we also have
Transgender.
gays and lesbian, and I had to do it. I had to explain the difference between gender and sexuality.
And identity.
And identity. How do you
Because-
identify yourself?
Yes.
Also
Yes.
as an individual. I remember in some town, a teacher did not want a child to become the president of the SRC because he identified himself as being a homosexual.
Yeah.
You understand? And I love how they handled the matter in terms of, creating an awareness for the teacher. You understand? And I believe as modern educators, we also need to
have a major role.
A major role,
but the
as well.
department as well.
As well.
I think it's high time that life orientation as a subject really included.
And it's not even taken seriously. The most hurting thing, life orientation. It's not taken seriously in schools. If they want a life orientation teacher, it's just
anyone
can teach it. And with I don't want to say old educators, but educators who have been in the profession like for the longest time, they don't want to talk about such things with them.
Yeah, I mean, traditionally,
you
the
understand.
society did not necessarily allow for that.
Yes.
But I think more so than anything, we could have sexual education as part of the measures that we would have, because whether we like it or not, especially as the department, things are changing drastically, and people should be allowed to be who they want to be and be loved, irrespective of what they identify as, whether they're transgender, gay, lesbian, like the entire LGBTQI society. And to also realize that things are not set in stone. We can't say because we have male and female, everybody needs to get in line and just do. People should be allowed to express themselves in the way that they want to, and to have preference as well, if I could put it that way. I think to answer your question, I haven't had a case of a learner wanting to identify as anything outside of male and female. But what I have had is learners who are maybe gay or lesbian. And quite fortunately in my school, they're not treated any differently. And we really do try to love everyone the way they want to be loved. And if someone says, this is my sexuality,
how they identify themselves.
I've
we do have
kids
boys who
respect that.
Who wear skirts to school. Because
we haven't had that case.
Yeah, we do have girls also who we allow that. We do allow that.
And that's progressive. That's a good thing.
In my school.
On the 20th of October, the Minister of Basic Education will host a national ceremony where the national winners of the NTA will be announced. Join us on our social media platforms as we publicly say thank you to all outstanding teams or individual teachers who entered this year's National Teaching Awards.